A broken nation, a future dictator, Germany after World War I. Germany in the 1920s was a nation reeling from deep scars, both physical and psychological. Defeat brought humiliation, economic turmoil, and political instability. The Treaty of Versailles imposed harsh reparations and territorial losses. This volatile atmosphere created fertile ground for extremism. Amid this chaos, a young Adolf Hitler found his voice, resonating with a desperate nation. The Weimar Republic struggled to maintain order. Political assassinations and street violence were commonplace. Hyperinflation crippled the economy, wiping out the savings of the middle class. It was a time of profound uncertainty and fear, a collective trauma that Hitler would exploit. His rise to power was a gradual, insidious process fueled by charisma and manipulation. The young Hitler. Dreams of artistic glory marred by rejection. Born in Austria in 1889, Adolf Hitler's early life was marked by disappointment and alienation. He dreamed of becoming an artist, but was twice rejected by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts. This rejection fueled a deep resentment that would grow in the years to come. Adrift, he eked out a meager existence in Vienna, selling postcards. During this period, Hitler's worldview solidified, shaped by German nationalism and anti-Semitism. He devoured racist pamphlets, finding a perverse sense of belonging. Vienna's diverse population became a symbol of all he despised. The Great War and its scars, finding purpose in the trenches. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 offered Hitler a chance to escape the drudgery of his existence. He volunteered for the German army, eager to prove his worth on the battlefield. The war, with its brutal realities and camaraderie of the trenches, had a profound impact on him. He found a sense of purpose and belonging he had never known, embracing the military hierarchy and the glorification of violence. Hitler served as a dispatch runner, a dangerous job that exposed him to the horrors of the front lines. He was wounded twice and decorated for bravery, experiences that further fueled his sense of destiny. The war's end in 1918, however, left him feeling adrift once more. Germany's defeat came as a crushing blow, a betrayal of the sacrifices he and his comrades had made. He shared the widespread belief that Germany had been stabbed in the back by internal enemies, a conspiracy theory that would become a central tenet of his ideology. A movement takes shape. Hitler finds his voice in post-war chaos. Returning to Munich after the war, Hitler found a city gripped by political turmoil. The Bavarian Soviet Republic, a short-lived communist government, had been overthrown, and a wave of violence swept the streets. It was in this atmosphere of chaos and uncertainty that Hitler discovered his true calling: politics. He joined the German Workers' Party, a small fringe group that shared his nationalist and anti-Semitic views. Hitler's talent for oratory quickly became apparent. He possessed a hypnotic charisma, an ability to tap into the anger and resentment of his audiences. His speeches were filled with passionate denunciations of the Treaty of Versailles, the weakness of the Weimar Republic, and the supposed threat posed by Jews and communists. He offered simple solutions to complex problems, appealing to a nation desperate for a return to greatness. The beer hall putsch, a failed grab for power. As Hitler's influence grew, so too did his ambition. Inspired by Mussolini's March on Rome in 1922, he believed the time was ripe for a similar seizure of power in Germany. On November 8, 1923, Hitler and his followers, many of them members of the paramilitary Sturmabteilung, or SA, launched a coup attempt in Munich, known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The putsch was poorly planned and quickly met with resistance. A confrontation with police left several dead, and Hitler himself was arrested. The coup attempt was a failure, but it would prove to be a turning point in Hitler's rise to power. It brought him national attention, transforming him from an obscure rabble-rouser into a figure of national prominence. Mein Kampf and the making of a tyrant, refining his ideology in prison. Hitler's trial for treason provided him with a platform to further spread his message. He used the courtroom as a bully pulpit, delivering lengthy speeches that captivated the nation. Though sentenced to 5 years in prison, he served less than 9 months, spending his time writing his manifesto, My Struggle. Hitler laid out his twisted worldview in chilling detail. He railed against the supposed evils of democracy, communism, and the Jewish conspiracy. He called for the restoration of German greatness through territorial expansion and the creation of a racially pure Aryan state. The book became the Bible of the Nazi movement, a blueprint for the horrors to come. Riding the tiger-exploiting crisis for political gain. Released from prison in December 1924, Hitler was determined to seize power through legal means. He recognized that the instability of the Weimar Republic played to his advantage. The Great Depression, which hit Germany particularly hard, created an even more fertile ground for his message of hate and resentment. The Nazi Party, once a fringe group, experienced a surge in popularity. Exploiting the economic misery and political polarization, Hitler presented himself as the only one who could restore order and prosperity. His message resonated with a broad cross-section of German society, from unemployed workers and disgruntled war veterans to businessmen and intellectuals seduced by his promises of national revival. The crumbling republic democracy fails as Hitler ascends. By 1930, the Nazi Party had become a major force in German politics. Exploiting the weaknesses of the Weimar system, Hitler used his position in the Reichstag to obstruct the government and sow chaos. Street violence between the SA and communist paramilitaries became commonplace, further destabilizing the country. In 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest party in the Reichstag, though they still lacked a majority. President Paul von Hindenburg, an aging war hero, resisted appointing Hitler as chancellor. But under pressure from conservative politicians who believed they could control him, he finally relented. On January 30, 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany, a fateful moment that would mark the beginning of the end for the Weimar Republic. The jaws of tyranny, crushing opposition, consolidating power. Once in power, Hitler moved swiftly to consolidate his control. A fire that destroyed the Reichstag building in February 1933 was blamed on the communists, providing a pretext for a crackdown on civil liberties. The Enabling Act, passed by the Reichstag in March 1933, effectively gave Hitler dictatorial powers. With ruthless efficiency, Hitler eliminated all opposition. Political parties were banned, trade unions were crushed, and the press was brought under state control. The Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, instilled fear and obedience, while concentration camps began to appear across the country, imprisoning political opponents, Jews, and other undesirables. The shadow of the swastika. The world watches as darkness falls. By 1934, Hitler had established a totalitarian regime in Germany. The Third Reich, as he called it, was a nightmare vision of a racially pure, militarized state. The Nuremberg Laws of 1935 stripped Jews of their citizenship and subjected them to systematic persecution. Rearmament began in earnest, violating the Treaty of Versailles and setting the stage for another world war. The world watched with a mixture of apprehension and indifference as Hitler's grip on Germany tightened. Some saw him as a bulwark against the spread of communism, while others dismissed him as a passing phenomenon. Few could have imagined the horrors that would unfold as a result of his insatiable ambition. Remembering the past, shaping the future, the urgency of vigilance. The rise of Adolf Hitler stands as a chilling reminder of the fragility of democracy and the seductive power of hate. It is a story of how a charismatic demagogue, exploiting a nation's fears and prejudices, can lead a civilized society down a path of unimaginable barbarity. As we grapple with the challenges of our own time, it is more important than ever to learn from the mistakes of the past. We must be vigilant in defending democratic values, confronting intolerance, and resisting the allure of simplistic solutions to complex problems. The memory of Hitler's rise to power serves as a stark warning that the forces of darkness are never truly vanquished, but lie dormant, waiting